I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask everybody to mute their mics so we give our presenters the best possible audio. And that would include, hey, Michael Boyer, good to see you, buddy. How are you? My name is Jim Bell. I'm Rotary Public Image Coordinator for Zone 26. And we have some topics for you tonight that I don't think we've covered before. And we're recording this session, so you have it if you want to pass it on to your committees, when you have your next committee meeting. But without further ado, I'd like to get started, frankly. Our first session tonight is with Michael Soden. He's Assistant Rotary Public Image Coordinator out of District 5300. And he lives in Henderson, Nevada, by the way, which is a suburb of Las Vegas. And the topic tonight is pretty much around privacy. And this is something we all need to pay attention to. He has a difficult and technical title to the session you can see on the slide. Take it away, Michael.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jim. I'm sure some people have heard the name GDPR, and other ones probably have heard CCPA. And basically what it means is that the European Union about 2 years ago in 2018, and then California just recently with their CCPA came and said that members are entitled to be private. And so in saying that, what does that mean? So if you kind of take a look at this particular slide, the next slide, Dave, thank you. So if you take a look at this, what does personal identity mean? So rather than read the whole thing, I'm just going to come up with a little bit of a highlight I have here, which is identifier as the name, an identification number, a location number, online identifier, or to be one or more factors specific to a physical, physiological, genetic, mental, economic, cultural, social identity of that person. Long story short, basically what it means, the next slide, it means members must give their consent these days. It's no longer the day of just taking member data and doing whatever you want. So when we look at this, we take a look at the first one that says consent is one of the several possible bases for processing personal data. The second one is, they must freely be given the opportunity to say yes or no, whether you can use their data or not. This might be their name, their image, their contact, email information, that sort of thing. And a good example of that is a few years ago, before we had the GDPR and all this other stuff we had to deal with, is that, I had a governor who said that he wanted to download the data out of this particular system and upload it into Constant Contact. Well, obviously the members didn't know about it. If the members had known about it, it would not have been a problem. And then, as far as identifying a clear affirmative action program, what that means is how many of you have registrations that you're actually not asking the question that can we contact you after? And I'm sure many of you don't have. And a good example of that is I just recently had a particular PDG, and he wanted to go back the last 5 years of a registration program we had and sent emails out to everybody that had attended. Well, in the old days, that was fine. But the problem is those people were never asked if they could have that or not. So in saying that, what happened is RI was basically told by the EU, which is the European Union, with their GDPR, and said, well, you either go along with our program or you're not going to have our member data in your system. So if you could go to the next slide, David, thank you. So what they did is they came up with a policy for all of the vendors that have that are licensed vendors, and there are approximately, I think there's 6 or 7 in the world today. And so if you look at the hierarchy of it, you have the controller, which is Rotary International. You then have the processor, which might be like a DACDB or a club runner. And then you have the sub-processor. And what that means is that if like a Constant Contact or a club says, well, we want to put our data in Constant Contact, they need to come to, in this case, might be DACDB or club runner, and say, do you approve it? We then have to go up to RI and say, yes, you can do that. There's also a lot of security procedures that came along with this program. And what I mean by that is, as a licensed vendor, DACDB and Club Runner are required to have encrypted computers. They're required to scramble their data. They're also required to lock up their computers. So if they happen to be out, you know, at a particular function, they can either, it must be with them or it must be locked up in an actual safe. It also is required that if for whatever reason they get hacked, they must notify everybody and the brother within 24 hours. So in summary of this, the user, again, as I said before, must give permission to opt, you know, by opting in. It's no longer the, well, let's opt out kind of thing. They must know where their data is being stored. So there must have a vehicle, like in a club, must have a vehicle to be able to do that. And one of the ways that RI is recommending is that every club and district have a privacy policy on their website. When processing registrations, just as we talked about before, they must have the permission that you can actually use their data after the session, whatever they're applying for, to be able to resubmit to them. You know, and again, it's advisable, and I see a lot when I go run around the districts and, you know, the area, and I see a lot of emails and phone numbers that are sitting on pages. So it's a really good idea not to have that. Now, if the member says that's fine, but so often with leadership and all that sort of thing, that information ends up on there. Good example of that is I have a club in my district who decided to print a directory. The problem is that it was not behind closed doors, so anybody and their brother could download a PDF of all of their member information, which was not a good idea. So once again, as I said, RI has a recommended privacy policy. You can find that if you could go to the next screen, David. You can find it at the zone 2627/public images. And there will be a club and district version of that. And then if for whatever reason you have questions, and believe me, I use this privacy at Rotary a lot to go up and ask them, you know, am I in violation of this or that? So that pretty much concludes that piece of the privacy. There's all kinds of things that we could get into, and you're able to ask a couple questions at the end, but I'm more than happy to have a discussion with anybody about it. Not that I'm the guru of it, but I'm just seeing more and more of this stuff coming in. So the next thing we want to talk about is intellectual property. And basically what that means is that, you know, everybody has created ideas and they're entitled to be able to be protected. So we have what's called the intellectual property. And again, I'm not going to read all this, but basically intellectual property can include everything from proprietary products, parts, movies, music, web content, business processes, and software. When you take a look at the World Intellectual Property Organization, they're defining it as creations of mind, such as inventions, literary, artistic works, symbols, names, images, designs, and U.S. commerce. Next screen, please, David. And again, this is kind of redundant, but when you look at, what does that mean? You have the patents, which we all know about, trade secrets we all know about, copyright, and trademarks. So if we can go to the next screen, and so you're probably saying to yourself, what does this mean to me? Well, here's a good example of that is I've seen it quite often where I will have a club webmaster will go out to a site, scrape off some information, put it onto their website, which is in total violation. You've basically violated that website's rights by taking their data and putting it onto your website, and especially if you don't give them credit for it. And a lot of times Google will go out and look at your website and downgrade you. For those clubs that care about SEO or those districts, they will downgrade you, which means you're not going to get as high an SEO rating as you would want to. And SEO means search engine optimization. Another example of that is, and I see this a lot, people need an image. So what do? They go out to Google search, they find an image, they have no idea whether they own it or not or whatever, and they just go ahead and put it on their website. Another thing that's going on now is PDFs. In the old days, PDFs, you basically downloaded them. Well, now you've got a lot of organizations that are going out like Getty, who honestly went after RI about 4 years ago because I got a cease and desist letter in my district because I had uploaded I think it was the visual identity of the, for RI in handling all the branding. And they had put an image on there that apparently they had paid for just to be local. It was not paid for to be on the web. So they basically, the attorney said, well, it's a cease and desist type of situation. I also recently got my own cease and desist letter on believe it or not, a PDF that I had put up 10 years ago. And in that PDF from a presentation that had been made, someone had a cartoon in there. Well, I guess, these attorneys went out and found it. And lo and behold, I've got a cease and desist letter. So last but not least, what does that mean? If you're caught, 99% of the time, you're going to receive a cease and desist letter. And especially if you're a nonprofit, you're just going to have to take it down and find something else to replace it. But I have had situations. I had a client one time a few years ago who, unfortunately, their web guy went out and found a image that ended up they got charged $2,500 for it. But because they were for-profit business, they were not able to get out of that, so they had to pay for it. Again, you can possibly be sued as well, depending upon how big the fraction is. So it's always a very good idea to go out and make sure whatever you're doing, that it is already been vetted and that you don't have to worry about royalty fees or any of that nature. If you're looking for images, there's a lot of really good places out there like Getty, as I talked about, iStock Photo. One I like to use a lot is called Deposit Photo. Very cheap. I think I pay like $29 a month, and I end up with 30 or 40 images. I can use it at my leisure. So, anyways, again, this is just kind of an idea. You really got to be careful of what you're looking at and going after. So, any questions?
Tom Boylan, you had a suggestion. You want to unmute yourself and mention that?
Okay, fine. I own a marketing company, a web development company as well. And I can say that this idea of the copyright, what Michael's saying about the photographs, we had a situation where there were these lawyers, and no offense to Annabella, but there were lawyers who came after a client for the use of an image that they had thought that they were putting something up. Chicken Cacciatore. Along with that picture of Chicken Cacciatore came an $8,000 bill. Now, that was negotiated down, but the bottom line is that if it's, you can't just reach out, Google Chicken Cacciatore and grab whatever you want. We see that happening all the time in Facebook, where I think that there's been some leniency with regard to that. But there are several different programs that are out there that will give you free images. When you get into Getty Images, I pay a licensing fee, and I get 1,000 images over the course of a year. And if I need more, then I have to go back to the well. But it does cost me, and it costs, I think, about 110 or so a month for me to have that ability to use those images. So I would really just highly recommend that looking for some of the other programs that are out there that have different images. Getty is really, they're the grandfather of it all. So many of these Shutterstock, ThinkStock, these types of images have all congregated now back over to Getty. And I think my well is about 10 million images. Never get through them all, but good search situations. But it is pricey if you have to go in and buy an individual shot, an individual photo. And that's something to be wary of, that you want to watch out that you're not looking at getting into a big cost. That's the problem. That's the problem with the Getty Images.
Yeah, you also want to make sure that you credit when you do have the images, or if you get content from somewhere else, that generally will alleviate any cease and desist orders and stuff like that. People just want credit for the work that they've done.
So I put two other things in here. One is there's a program called TinEye, TINEYE.com. And TinEye is a way that you can take an image and just upload it into your onto your program, and it will show you all the places that image is shown up and where it's being used. It's really kind of a neat program, TinEye.com. The other thing that I would want to make a point on is that we do have great concern for copyrighted materials. Because we've been infringed on, our clients have been infringed on, and so it is a big concern. However, there is a resource that's out there. Anything with a .gov is pretty much open territory. And you would be surprised at what you could find if you do a search for polio.gov. And what'll happen is, like, you'll see all sorts of information that will come back and give you information about the topic of polio. And that copy, you have the ability to reuse it. And it's always nice to give credit to where you found it. And I agree with that, with Michael on that. But I do think that there are sources, because not everybody is a great copywriter, but there are sources that are extremely useful. And anything with a .gov at the end of it is something that you can literally go for.
Great, Tom. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Michael, thank you for what you've done. We're going to move ahead so we don't fall behind. And Judy Korn has Judy, just so you know, I'm going to hold your question to the end. We'll have other questions at the time, but I haven't forgotten you. So next up is Assistant Rotary Public Image Coordinator for District 5190 in Reno, Nevada, Randy Riscotti. We're going to talk a little bit about branding. Take it away, Randy.
A few years ago, I was asked if I'd become the District Public Image Chair for District 5190. And at that time, our Rotary Public Image Chair for Zone 26, I believe at the time, was Vicki Pula. She was in my club. She's now becoming a director for Rotary. And she said, you know, all these questions that we get are really, you know, we've been through these 100 times. Let's put together a video to help, you know, people get the, you know, what you can and can't do with our logo. So we have the No Bull Guide to Rotary's brand. This is it, hopefully. There we go. Hello to all of our presidents, presidents-elect, public image chairs, webmasters, AGs, DGs, DGs in training, PDGs, anyone involved in promoting our Rotary brand. Phew, did I get everybody? As we settle into our new roles for the year within Rotary, we all have much to learn and only a short period of time to learn it. With this in mind, I'm asking for 5 minutes of your time to talk about our Rotary brand. Let's get started. What do you notice about the graphic? The logo is the first thing you see, the tip of the iceberg of your Rotary brand. But it is really only a small part of your brand and Rotary brand experience. We have an opportunity to strengthen our brand by making sure we are using the logo correctly, and this video will help you do that. No bull. For many years, our Rotary wheel stood alone as our logo on signage and communications materials. Although the words Rotary and International were embedded in the wheel, they were hard to read from a distance. As a result, the general public did not always recognize Rotary's involvement in a project or activity. That's why we decided to expand our official club logo to include the word Rotary next to the wheel. In the upper left on the screen is Rotary's master brand signature. Down to the right is what is known as the Rotary Club signature. The Rotary Club signature consists of the master brand signature plus the club name and should be used instead of the master brand signature on all club level communications. Please note the emphasis on all club level communications. This carries over to any custom shirts your clubs may want to produce as well. We wouldn't want any bull shirts. The old two-color Rotary wheel has been replaced with the new single-color, more contemporary wheel. This is the wheel you should use. Here's one of the don'ts. Stretching the logo is never acceptable. The Rotary Master Brand colors are a very specific blue and gold. In this slide, we have a couple of examples of someone's good intentions gone bad. Changing the colors to match a holiday theme or a Rotary fundraiser program are not acceptable. Changing the font on the word Rotary or the club identifier is a no-go. The font is an integral part of our brand identity. Let's talk about the Mark of Excellence, aka the wheel. Always use it big. Our Mark of Excellence is a symbol of our leadership. It should appear large on high-impact communications to make a bold statement and promote a sense of urgency. Keep it near the master brand signature at all times. On a special note, the Mark of Excellence should always appear with one of our signatures and never alone. But like everything in life, there is an exception to the rule. It's preferred to use the wheel by itself for the profile picture for your club's Facebook page. Really, that's no bull. Applying special effects such as embossing or drop shadows to the master brand signature are definite no-nos. Rotary has been working hard to show the world a consistent brand image. Applying these types of effects only helps to dilute the message we are trying to send to our communities. Spinning rotary wheels are a big nope. Another nope in this image is incorporating the wheel into the design. The wheel should always be a separate graphic element and not part of the design. When working on a joint project with another organization, the Rotary Master Brand signature should always be displayed on the left with a gray vertical line to separate our brand from the partner's logo. This is what is known as a Rotary Partner Lockup. I wanted to make you aware that Rotary has created the simplified signature for digital small use in confined spaces. As you can see in this slide, the words Rotary and International have been removed from the wheel for better reproduction when used at a reduced size. I'm going to make this easy for you. If you have any doubts, use this style of logo. How's that for cutting through the bull? Want to learn more about the proper use of our logo and branding materials? Please visit the Rotary Brand Center for more info on how to properly display the Rotary Master Brand signature. While you're visiting the Rotary Brand Center, look for this guide. You can download it under the Our Story tab on the Brand Center homepage. This is the No Bull Guide to have. Thanks for shooting the bull with me today about the proper use of our Rotary logo. Need more information? Please contact your District Public Image Chairperson or visit our Zone 2627 website for some awesome public image training materials.
Back to you, Randy.
There you have it in 5 minutes. So you can download that from the Zone 2627 website and share that with your public image teams, your incoming AGs and such to help really get the message across with 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's talk for a moment about our brand voice. Our messaging is everything we convey about Rotary through images, in writing, and by speaking. Using a unified set of messages ensures that no matter who's communicating and who's listening, we always tell a clear, cohesive, and consistent version of Rotary's powerful story. When we talk about the Rotary brand, we're talking about the basic qualities and goals that unite all Rotary clubs and districts. What we offer to those who work with us, join a club, or participate in our programs and projects. Whether Rotary communications are produced by clubs, districts, or Rotary International, they should all look, feel, and sound unmistakably like Rotary. Our messaging should reinforce our reason for being, to bring together leaders from all continents, cultures, and occupations to exchange ideas and take action for communities around the world. Our messaging should reflect our beliefs and behavior. We build lifelong relationships. We honor our commitments. We connect diverse perspectives, and we apply our leadership and expertise to solve social issues. Using the chat, what else do we do that reflects our beliefs and behavior? The last thing I want to cover before moving on is how we communicate in our voice. This is how we bring the tone of our message to life. Our tone should reflect that we are smart. We look at problems from different angles and apply our expertise to solve social issues in ways that others cannot. Our tone should show our compassion. We tackle tough challenges in communities across the globe. That requires empathy. We champion real people with real stories and real experiences that are relatable and universal. Our voice should show our perseverance. We find lasting solutions to the systemic issues, and we don't give up. Finally, our tone should show our inspiration. We're motivated by our connections and the positive change we bring to communities around the world. How do we do that? Through our messaging. Let's take a look at effective messaging tips that help us keep our particular audience in mind and stimulate them visually. Creating audience-targeted messaging helps us translate Rotary's story into key points that will resonate with the audience, includes motivators in our message that compel audiences to take action, and allows us to address the barriers that hold them back, while also achieving our goals for the audience. Effective messaging has three elements: a primary message, a supporting message, and proof. The primary message is simple, tailored for the audience, and calls on the audience to take some form of action. The supporting message reinforces the primary message and adds depth. The proof is that tangible evidence that gives the audience a reason to believe what we say and be inspired by it. People of action pictures, beneficiary testimonials, recognitions. These are all great examples of proof to include in our messaging. Our goal: create awareness, inspire action, and show proof. Using the chat box again, take a guess at what percentage of people are unaware of any Rotary program. Well, the reality is that due to a lack of information, 35% globally are unaware of any Rotary program, and only 41% are familiar with Rotary clubs. Looks like we have our work cut out for us. Let's find ways to show that we are inclusive people of action in our messaging. This slide shows how ways we can visually stimulate the audience. People report that what they see, they remember most. These are just a few images of how our messaging can impact perception. Everyone goes grocery shopping and pumps gas. These ideas show our partnerships, make the ask, and show the beneficiaries. Simple 2 words: help us. The scratcher at the 76 gas station, brilliant. The umbrella, another brilliant way to promote Rotary. The only thing I'd add here is add a URL to the umbrella so people know where to go to learn more. The last picture of the vehicle wrap, here in Southern California, we see them all over the place. You would think they'd be very expensive, but they're really not. With the help of donations and sponsors, you can take a $3,500 sales ticket and wipe it out entirely. At a minimum, our Rotary pin. The bigger and bolder, the better. The key to visual stimulation: if you can't see it, it can't stimulate. So using the chat again, what sorts of things can you do as district public image coordinators to help promote the visual stimulation of our brand at the club level? David, one more time, can you help me out by reading off some of the examples?
A mural, Judy Corwin, great idea.
Sounds like the start of a great to-do list. Periodically, we're asked why the same message can't be used for prospective members and the general public, since prospective members are part of that general public. That's a very good question. The best answer I can give is that the general public typically knows very little and/or nothing about Rotary. For these individuals, we want to show them our vision, how we mobilize resources and knowledge to create opportunities, strengthen communities, and find solutions to the most pressing challenges. We want them to learn more about us. We want them to inspire them to share ideas, volunteer for a project, support a cause they care about, or just learn more about how they can join and become people of action to strengthen their own communities through Rotary. For the prospective member, they already know a little something about Rotary. We want to show them our partnerships. We want them to see how leaders like themselves come together to do good in the world. We want them to see the connection and how they specifically fit in and why Rotary needs them. We want them to see how their unique perspective, their personality, passion, and ideas are all valuable and they will create impact. So we want to invite them to Rotary. Bringing it all together for our audience, the last thing we need to focus on is the proof. What is that proof? We mentioned it briefly on a previous slide. The proof bridges the lack of understanding to the desire to take action. And I won't go through every single element on this slide, but you can see on 2 bullet points, stories. Stories about people of action, stories of your Rotary moments. Stories are the most effective tool we have. They have the greatest impact. They show the promise of Rotary, and it creates the inspiration to get others to act. Stories are impactful because when we tell them, our voice changes. It invokes the same feelings we experienced in the actual moment. The stories are real and they're true. I personally like to tell the story of little Ari, a 5-year-old homeless child that built an elementary Rotary Club with over 480 members and raised $4,000 to fight polio, so no other child would suffer. Imagine that, a child with absolutely nothing wanting to protect other children. And when I share the pictures of Ari, and I share the pictures of becoming a Paul Harris Fellow, and the pictures of how she lives, that inspires action. So I know we're running out of time here, but if you could do me the kindness again and quickly in the chat, share in just a couple of sentences your Rotary moment. What is your story that you like to tell? So I know we're running out of time, but here we go. You are not in this alone. There are lots of resources out there to help you and help your clubs tell the Rotary story. The Rotary Brand Center. Let's get people using the Brand Center. It has templates and tools to make their jobs easier. They don't need to recreate the wheel. Let's use the Rotary Learning Center. Let's sharpen their skill sets. It's a great tool for even district public image coordinators. The stronger your knowledge and skill sets are, the better you're able to support the clubs in your districts. Finally, the Zone team created a public image guide. It will better acquaint you and the clubs with the resources available and how to find them. In closing, I just want to say, David, thank you for your help today with the chat. Thank you to the participants for your feedback via the chat. You are all amazing and fantastic. Up next, we're going to hear from Randy, who will show us literally how to bring all of this to life in a website. Randy, over to you.
Hey, Randy, before you start, I just want to let everybody know that that was past District Governor Luann Arredondo from District 5300. I believe she lives in Chino, California, near San Bernardino. Back to Randy for, I think it's called the Extreme Makeover, right?
Correct. And
All right.
and if we could, well, let me quickly. This is great. This is the story of a club in my district, Rotary District 5190. Small club. I think they have 25, 30 members, and it's Rotary Club of Amador Upcountry in the other wine country, the Sutter Creek area. And they had a Weebly website, and there's a lot of issues here. I guess I'll start with the first one that I hope is obvious. It's ugly. I said it. And the other thing is this particular site is not linked in any way to RI. So we decided to do a before and after, and we took this website, and one of the goals is to do what we call, a extreme makeover, like the TV show. So if we could click the next slide. So we want you all to join in. You know how the show goes, and 1, 2, 3, move that wheel. Okay. So this is the new website. that's going to be live. This is actually, we are on the web right now. And so we created a new website. And I just want to highlight a couple things with this website. First off, we're using the proper Rotary logo. If you can see that everywhere, you know, right in the middle of the screen, the People of Action campaign on the carousel photos. You know, People of Action is our multi-year campaign to tell Rotary's story. As I like to say, we do more than drink coffee. So this is you know, encompassing all of the elements that, you know, a website should have. We've got the logo, we've got the right color scheme. We're not using some, you know, goofy colors, if you will. I think the important part here is when you land on a Rotary website, yours, every club in your district, it really should scream Rotary. You should know that you're on a Rotary website. One of the things I see a lot in my role as district public image coordinator is some clubs using the 2020-21 theme logo. That's great for us Rotarians, but the general public does not know what that is. And in some cases, the themes, they don't even say the word Rotary in them. So now you land on a website, you're not even 100% sure that you're at the right place. So, you know, think of your audience, be real, you know, cognizant of the fact that we need to tell our story, and that brand is consistent, whether you land on you know, Jim Bell's website in Bakersfield, or you land on my website in Sparks, Nevada, or you know, Chino. That's important. So the only thing on this website that we probably should do, which we haven't done because we were in the middle of rebranding it, is the URL or the website link. Right now it's defaulting to the Club Runner, you know, whatever it does. We really need to purchase a new website link that would say, you know, upcountryrotary.org would probably be smart. So let's see here. If you would go to our activities page, I just want to show you something here. So in here, they put in their projects, what they do. And this is really helpful. This is their key projects. Not everything they do, but their key projects that they work on. They work on a park. They give free dictionaries to all third grade students. This pencil painting one's kind of interesting. There was an old lumber mill there that had these two pencils outside the building. The mill has since been closed, but they moved one of the pencils to the local elementary school, and it's a real sense of civic pride. So they repainted it and got it all spiffied up, and you know, everybody knows that Rotary did that in this small community. So it's pretty neat. But what's really nice about putting these projects on here as you see them is new members, old members, when somebody says, what does Rotary do? Hey, let me tell you, go to upcountryrotary.org or com or org, and you can find out what we're involved with. We're involved in youth programs. We're involved with dictionaries. We're involved in giving back. They're a shelter box hero for the year. They received a special award. They just put that up yesterday. So this is the, you know, extreme makeover. Just get the Rotary branding and make it obvious that it's a Rotary site. And I guess I'll leave. Well, one thing, I should add one thing up there at the top. You'll see the Contact Us button. And you should make it easy for people to get in touch with you. Ask for the sale. Well, we want more members, and we want to make sure that people, you know how to find us. So send them to your website. Ask them what they do.
Randy, we have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
Brett was wondering, is this website built on a Club Runner template?
This is not a template per se, but there is nothing in here from Club Runner that is unique. Nothing, you know, there was no, I take that back. Where you see where it says learn more underneath each of the three buttons there on the main page, that is something I made in Photoshop. But you could use a regular button from Club Runner to do the same thing. So there's nothing. One of the things I've tried to do with my district is to make sure that, you know, to set an example for others with our district website and also with our club websites, is to say, hey, look, you don't need to have super duper skills. They have templates. You can follow it along. As far as the template goes, it did do pretty much everything you see there. The color scheme, the layout is there. There was a couple custom things. That's about it. As you can look at the top there, the carousel photos were created in the Rotary Brand Center. So we uploaded their photos and created a digital banner. It does the overlay automatically for you. So it's really easy to use. If you're not familiar with the Brand Center, please ask your district public image chair how to get there, because it's a real good tool.
Randy, how long did it take to do this makeover on this website?
2 answers, about a day. And then when they started tweaking it, it took 2 weeks, but that's not the point.
Okay.
Laugh at that. It didn't take that long, actually.
Do you have any estimated cost on that?
Cost?
Is there cost? Yeah.
There's no cost. I mean, it other than the fee to Club Runner, which they, you know, whether you go Club Runner or DACDB, one of the 2 approved, website builders, you know, they both have a cost, but it's, I know in Club Runner's case, it's by the number of members you have. So they have, I think, up to 30 members and then 30 to 50 and so forth. I assume DACDB has a similar pricing model.
Okay.
And I know a guy on this phone call that could answer that.
Yes, I'll type in for just a second. It's $275 no matter what size club you are.
Okay.
For a templated website.
Yes.
Also, Ilana has asked, do you offer to update their websites for them, or do they do them themselves?
Okay. Well, in this particular case, this club that we're looking at also happens to be the home club of my district governor. So we did this one kind of free, gratis, and, you know, keep the governor happy, so to speak. I told her that she couldn't go into her Rotary year with a goofy looking website if she was going to be the district governor. So we had a little buy-in from her that, yes, she'll help me do it. You know, that's a tough one. We tried in my district, I try to offer help and teach them how to use the tools they have. In this case, as I mentioned earlier, they're a small club. They really don't have technical people. So what a real side benefit to this particular website is to keep the content current. All they have to do is add speakers as speakers come up and stories, and that will keep website content current. Although we did add a Facebook feed at the very bottom, and their members are pretty keen on adding stuff to Facebook. So they're, you know, if somebody wanted to see something, they've got a Facebook feed that just, you know, steals from their Facebook page, as they say, and, you know, you can scroll through all the stories. So.
And Susan Beasley, I think that probably answers your question too, with regard to how this work got done.
And I'd be happy to help point you in the right direction. And I know Michael would be happy to help if you're on a DACDB site as well.
Do we have any other questions out there for any of the presenters other than Luann? We'll have to answer for her. Just type them in the chat. We'll take it from there. I don't see any questions coming in, so I'll take the moment to let you know that our next training session will be October 13th from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we're going to go back and cover some social media, pick up our social media series again, some more information on LinkedIn, probably version 2.0, and I think Facebook version 4.0. Talk about both of those. It will be Assistant Rotary Public Image Coordinators Annabella and Katie Cord. So let's see, Judy Corwin.
And we've got another question from Judy Corwin. Logo question, can we still put the name of the club on the right?
Yeah, of course. Yes, absolutely.
Brand Center will do that for you.
Okay, just as an FYI, that is going to be changing. The reason I say that is that DACDB has been questioned on a couple of their websites. Today it's approved. They are probably going to be moving and requiring that all of the name of the club go underneath the Rotary. They're still deciding back in Evanston.
What's the timeline on that change, Michael?
Jim, I don't know. This kind of came
Okay.
out of the blue for us because we were approved by RI. When I say we, DACDB was approved by RI. And then next thing you know, we've got 3 clubs that are saying you're not in compliance.
Okay.
And so we went to RI and they said, yes, you are in compliance at the moment.
Okay. Well, I would think you'll be fine for a while at least.
Yeah,
move a little bit slowly back there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I personally like it that way, but that's me.
I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's nice to get this done in under an hour. We had 4 great topics, 3 great presenters, Randy, Luann, and Michael. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Good. So October 13th is our next session. It'll be on social media. This has been recorded. The video should come to you by tomorrow afternoon, I think. Is that right, David?
Yep, I may be able to get it out tonight
Okay.
if I hang around for a bit.
All righty. Let's see. There's one more thing that's popped in the chat before I sign off. What is that? Oh, Susan Beasley said thank you. Fantastic. Good to see everybody. Thanks again for coming with us. Bye-bye.